In this video, we're going to now start writing to files. As you can imagine, if there's a DLM read, there's going to be a DLM write. Using DLM write is not particularly challenging, but there's some syntax you have to know. So let's go back to my script. I'm going to read 2d.text like we did in the last video, and into a matrix called M. And what I want to do is make some changes. Any kind of changes doesn't really matter. So what I'm going to do is actually multiply the matrix entirely by 2 so that it's bigger, for example. And in order to do that, MATLAB is, again, really quite incredible. I can just multiply it by 2 because in linear algebra, scalar multiplication works just fine. I can multiply a matrix by a scalar. So I can say M equals M times 2. And MATLAB actually addresses the fact that it should realistically in linear algebra be 2 times m. It doesn't matter much to MATLAB, it'll figure it out. And so what this will do is double the matrix, and let's prove that to ourselves by running it. And I'll take my semicolons off so we can see m and it's double. So m is 1, 5, 6 and so forth, and now I've doubled it and I get 2, 10, and 12. So I do in fact double it. Now I'm going to put my semicolons back. I don't want to see the output when I run this again. And I want to write to a file. And to do that, I'm going to use DLM write. So the syntax for that is DLM write. Then you supply it with a file name. Now, just like in C++, what you're going to notice is that without any additional flags, what's going to happen is you'll write over the file you already have written. So make sure that if you intend to write over, that's what you're going to do. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to call it new 2d.text. And then it wants a matrix. In my case, I have one called M, so I'm going to give it M. And then it wants a number of different things, so I could do dash append here in quotes. That's how you would make it so it doesn't overwrite. It puts it at the end of the file. We're not going to do that. But the one I really want here is called delimiter, which again, like in DLM read, I had to give a delimiter. Now in DLM write, I have to do the same thing. And let's say we want, again, a comma-separated values file. So I give it a single quote, a comma, and a single quote, and a semicolon there. So now I'm going to run it. And because I have semicolons everywhere, nothing happened. So let's go to the file, the folder I'm in actually, which is my video subfolder, which I have up here. And what you'll see is I have this new file called new2d. So when I open it up, in fact, what I get is this comma-separated values version of the matrix M, the doubled matrix in my case, because that's what I wrote. So the benefit here of using DLM write is, again, it's one line, and MATLAB handles all of the formatting for me. Now, the benefit of using MATLAB for this is especially when you're dealing with data that you're going to manipulate directly. So in C++, for example, I might have had much more complicated data. For example, it might have section headings, and it might say maybe a student number, and then an assignment name, and a bunch of grades, and that sort of thing. MATLAB certainly can do that. It is fully functional, but normally when you're reading in data and when you're writing data, you just want the numeric data that you're going to be manipulating. And that's really what DLM write and DLM read is for. Otherwise, we're going to leave it there, and in the next couple of videos, we're going to see how to use MATLAB as a proper programming language using looping and conditional statements.